festival. Aston Villa fans are planning a minute's applause later to pay tribute to the club's former striker Dalian Atkinson. The 48-year-old died after being tasered by police in Telford yesterday. Clapping will start 10 minutes into the club's championship game against Huddersfield at Villa Park. 10 was Atkinson's shirt number. Meanwhile, questions have been raised over the safety of the stun guns. Dalian Atkinson's death is the second in 2 months involving a police taser. But Richard Taylor is a campaigner who opposes an increase in the number of officers who carry these tasers and is on the line and can talk to me about this now. Hello there, Richard. Good to talk to you this afternoon.
Jonathan.
Yes, apologies for calling you, mixing up your name there, but this is quite serious. Why do you oppose the use of tasers?
Well, we've seen quite a dramatic change in frontline policing over the last 8 years or so as tasers have been introduced. They were introduced first just for firearms officers to have as an alternative to a conventional firearm, and I completely support that use. What I've been opposing is the rollout to ever more response officers and police officers on patrol. So it's now becoming increasingly likely that if you come into contact with the police, they will be armed with tasers, and they are dangerous. And what I'm concerned about is proportionality. Are the police using a proportionate amount of force? And tasers really are, they're dangerous weapons, like the barbs themselves, as they go into you, that's clearly dangerous, particularly if they hit you in the face or in the eyes. When you lose your muscle control, when you're shocked by a taser, you can't break your fall. So essentially your head is going to drop from 2 meters or so high, and you can be seriously injured if it falls on a curb or concrete floor.
Well, I appreciate that. But I mean, what's the alternative? What's your proposition there?
Well, I would like to see tasers for armed officers, to give them that alternative. So when there are serious situations which are judged to need use of extreme force, then I want to see tasers. But I don't want to see them held by all frontline officers, because it's about the kind of country that we live in. And what I want to see is keep this concept of policing by consent rather than policing by force. I don't want us to go down the line that we see if you look at American policing, where if an American police officer asks someone to do something, it's either with a gun drawn or with their hand on their gun, and they're being asked to do something with the threat of force. And I think if we're going to be civilised in a civilised society, the threat should be the threat of justice. And if people assault police officers, they should be sentenced severely for that.
Well, I know, but if the police feel threatened by any particular occasion, I mean, we weren't there, we don't know exactly the full details. I mean, it's an unfortunate incident, but if they'd fired a bullet at him, he would have died.
Well, we don't yet know in this case whether there's any connection between between the arrest and the death, or we just need to wait for the outcome of the investigation. But hopefully, after cases like this, the police officers who are armed with taser will be aware that they are using something which is potentially very dangerous, and the impact of pulling that trigger or pressing that button is just unpredictable, especially if someone has mental health problems, or if they're ill, or if they are on drugs. Then the police officer has no idea what's going to happen next after they press that button, and that's what I think makes it difficult to use a proportionate amount of force when you're using a taser.
But if we're talking about tasers generally speaking, I mean, what is then a deterrent for people or to people who could harm others or themselves? I mean, there's no deterrent. If you don't have tasers, we don't have armed police, there is no deterrent.
Well, the deterrent is jail. The deterrent is...
But no one's scared of jail, are they?
Well, I think we need to improve our justice system. We need an open public justice system. We need to return to that. We used to have that in this country. We used to have people knowing what was going on in their local courts, knowing what the sentences were that were handed down, and we need to make sure that our justice system does provide a deterrent. I've been to my local courts and I've seen no separate penalty for an assault of a police officer when other crimes like shoplifting have taken place, and I've seen fines issued of £50 for assaulting a police officer. That's where we really need to start changing things. And often, like 50% of people who get tasered have a mental health problem, and we need to start tackling that. And we need to start tackling addiction as well. Like really, things have really gone wrong with our society by the time you get to the point of somebody having an altercation with the police. We need to be acting to prevent and deter.
All right, Richard. No, it's good to talk to you and get that bit of insight. Thank you very much. Richard Taylor, campaigner who opposes the increase in the number of officers who carry tasers. Good to talk to you, Richard. Thank you very much here on BBC Hereford and Worcester.